From an early age, Pierre demonstrated an extraordinary maturity that set him apart from children his age. According to Jean-Charles de Brécessier, his biographer, those responsible for Lambert's education noticed that he was nothing like a child. On the contrary, by the age of 8, Pierre possessed the depth of a mature man. He combined the vivacity of the mind with the solidity of judgment, the love of study with the ease of memory, and the power of genius combined with the grace of a gentle yet resolute naturalness. Pierre's willingness to learn was so profound that whenever he was corrected for a fault, those around him noticed that any correction he received was immediately reflected in his behavior. On one occasion, when his father corrected him for following his little inclinations, he did not respond with anger. Instead, he received with respect his paternal correction, and recognized the need to abandon unacceptable behaviors that were deemed unacceptable in his actions. Brécessier writes that the formation Pierre Lambert received early on of the Sacrament of the Eucharist played a crucial role as he prepared for this important moment. His understanding of the Eucharist ignited in him an ardent desire to receive Holy Communion, and resulted in a remarkable increase in graces and virtues. As a result, he often asked questions or answered with a profound sense of piety that surprised everyone. When he was in the countryside, instead of attaching himself to others, he willingly walked alone, in order to approach the small peasants he met, without being seen. Despite the advantages he had over other children, he did not boast or act superior to them. He never willingly played or entertained himself for long with children of his class or age. Instead, he took the opportunity to ask them questions about the catechism, capturing their attention so they could listen, understand, and remember what he had told them. He became increasingly generous towards the poor, to the point that his frequent requests for bread on their behalf occasionally put the woman in charge of the pantry in a bad mood. To obtain what he needed, he would try to charm the woman in charge of the pantry and win her over with flattering compliments. Whenever he was given a bit of money for his enjoyment, instead of using it for himself, he often found immense joy in sacrificing what he had, and shared it with those who approached him. Even when he had little left, he was so detached that he would put what he had in the hands of his tutor, saying that he could use it as he pleased, and that he himself had no need for it. These were the first attempts of a great zeal that would one day produce an abundance of fruit. Although some may say that the description of this young child is exaggerated, and depicts the psychology of an introverted child who had a rigid education, an extraordinary revelation of this 9-year-old child confirms the depths of this spiritual prodigy. The scene unfolds in the year 1633. On November 3, 1663, as the apostolic vicar of Cochinchina, he finds himself in prayer recalling the experience he had as a 9-year-old.
My soul found itself extraordinarily warned to pursue, at any instance possible, with the infinite mercy of God, the permanent establishment of a company of foreign missions. I willingly agreed to this order, but I said, I am only a child, and I do not know in what way to fulfill this request. Then in my mind a strong vision resurfaced, one which had occupied my mind a long time ago, when I was 9 years old, in the city where I was born, where one day, wondering if I could embrace religious life, I realized that I had no desire to enter any of these communities, because to me, they did not seem to live a perfect enough life. But an idea came to mind of another sort of people which extremely pleased me, and being in love, I wanted to be professed in. They were called the lovers of the Holy Cross. Their way of life seemed so admirable to me that if I knew where to meet them somewhere, I would have made every effort, at whatever cost, to be in their company. being unable to find one in the world ever since then, I have never been attracted to any other religious community. Although I have a profound esteem for religious who live in the purity of their institute and which I regard as nurseries of heaven.
Although some may say that this child was influenced by the spiritual climate of his time, it is difficult to imagine that, on his own, a child could have invented the lovers of the cross. This desire and revelation must have been the fruit of his prayer life, as he prepared to receive First Communion. The depths of his soul must have been stirred as he read chapters 11 and 12 of Book 2 in the Imitation of Christ. These chapters are on the small number of those who love the cross of Jesus Christ and the royal road of the Holy Cross. At the age of 9, Pierre cannot foresee where his love of the cross will lead him, but he already has such a high ideal of religious life. Even though everywhere in France, new religious orders are flourishing or are being reformed, Pierre wants to be a lover of the Holy Cross, but this community does not yet exist. Pierre does not see himself as a Jesuit, even despite their growing missionary expansion, nor does he see himself among the contemplatives. Instead, he bends to the family career and prepares to enter the Jesuit College of Caen, where he will continue his classical studies up to philosophy, before studying law, which, for generations, has been practiced by the Lambert family.